Everyone, and welcome back to our 2027 draft scouting series. Today, we stay on the offensive side of the ball, but get down into the trenches. A player that surprised a few people by staying in school, though many scouts praise the decision. A lot to like, but still plenty to work on. From a potential first round player to what could be a surefire top 10 pick if he progresses under Sark and Coach Flood in Austin. We are talking Trevor Goosby, offensive tackle at Texas. We look at and talk about Trevor, the offensive tackle, today. But first, make sure you head over, like, subscribe, share this podcast wherever you are listening and watching. rsafootball.com is my website. At RightStepADV is where you can interact with me. Again, wherever you are getting your content from Scouting the League, make sure you're hitting those buttons. Subscribing and commenting are the big ones. Plenty of opportunities to comment on players here. You like them, you dislike, you agree, you disagree, players you want to hear in the future. All those spots are great spots to comment. Let us know what you think. If you're a scout or aspiring scout, hopefully you're really enjoying this scouting traits series, scouting 2027 draft scouting series. That scouting traits series that we did back prior to the draft is what we will continue to talk about as we talk about these guys. But scouts and aspiring scouts, make sure you check out thescoutingcommunity.com resources no matter where you're at in your scouting journey. Make sure you check out our partners over at bluemaca.com as well. Use code scouting20 to let them know we sent you and get a little discount on that order. So we have everything you need. All of it can be found over on rsafootball.com. Links for all those sites. What do you want to hear? 2027 draft prospects, let me know. Taking requests on all positions, both sides of the ball, no matter who it is. If you want to hear about them, let me know. At RightStepADV is where you can drop those players' names, positions, schools, whatever you want to hear about, let me know. Today, let's get to Trevor Goosby, left offensive tackle for the Longhorns. Wears number 74, listed at 6'7", 312 pounds. Again, we will continue to monitor that as we get into the fall, as we start talking about the player and where he's going to end up. Goosby, length appears very good. That's always going to be something you get an estimate on. Maybe you get something from Blesto and NFS this spring, but again, a fourth-year player in 2026. Could use a developed redshirt year in 23 where he just played in 2 games. But you're talking about a fourth-year player fully expected to be in this draft class. Back up with 2 starts in 2024 before starting 13 games in 2025. As we get into the film and start talking traits for our offensive linemen, we are going to be focusing on that initial quickness, run blocking. Again, is he a zone scheme guy, gap scheme guy? Always going to matter. With pass blocking, we want to see what kind of pass blocker he is, what kind of position this guy maintains, how is his hand use, how are his feet, and then, of course, all those major factors: athletic ability, competes, toughness, how does this guy finish, everything with it. So with Trevor, again, we've got a big, long, again, this is a guy that you would probably call a true left offensive tackle, probably a little bit more finesse than he is grit and tough. He has plenty of snaps where, again, he makes it look easy. He makes movement, getting his hands on, maintaining position. There are some snaps where, again, would love to see a little bit more grit, a little bit more urgency, a little bit more sustained. But again, as it goes with left offensive tackles, they get their job done. It's not always pretty. It's not always gritty, but they get the job done. Again, with his initial quickness, this is a guy that is probably more of a zone fit. Again, inside zone, can work some outside zone with the length, gets a little bit over his toes, a little bit of a waist bender as he starts really reaching out and really trying to overtake guys gap and a half to 2 gaps away, getting in space. But again, has the initial quickness, at least at a good level, some very good snaps. Definitely going to thrive on an inside zone blocking. Probably lacks a little bit of lower half power if you're talking about a gap scheme guy. But again, even within a gap scheme, you're not going to ask him to create movement on that left side. Again, you're paying that guy, signing that guy to protect your quarterback in the pass game. You're going to be able to run behind him. Certainly, he's going to, just envelop with his size. A lot of edge guys, a lot of outside linebackers, players you're going to get there. So again, he's going to be fine. Zone scheme, gap scheme, certainly going to be on the board for 32 teams, no matter what their base scheme is that they run. Again, can get the feet up and down, can work hands and hips. He is long, he is lanky, which is always going to show up a little bit in terms of his movement and everything, but is going to still find ways to get the hands on, continue to do his work on the move. Again, with that sustain, with his ability to get after guys and continue to work down the field. Again, a lot of coaches are going to like him. When you start talking about pass blocking, this guy has the ability to get vertically, has a good ability to set and use his length to get back deep in the pocket. Again, with his length, he does get a little bit elongated and opens the hips up sometimes a little earlier than you want. Again, this is a guy that should have the ability to get all the way back and maintain that nice square hip, maintain that ability on the edge to work guys past the pocket. But again, there are some times he gets to that panic set a little bit earlier than you would like, has to open up that hip and that gate just a little bit earlier than you want, and is going to struggle with some inside moves as a result. Again, when you start talking about things that scouts are going to want to see this fall, that is certainly going to be one of them. Is, hey, maintain that vertical set, get your depth, and maintain that square stance. I fully expect Coach Flood on that offensive line to really be working and focusing on that, because again, this is a guy that has the athleticism, has the foot quickness to be able to get back. Again, he can envelop, he overtakes guys, he does a good job with his anchor. I think this guy has good to very good anchor on the edge and has the ability to sit down versus pass rushers, speed to power rushers, kind of whatever they are. I think he's got that ability to do that. So again, this guy can do it all. Again, it's just going to be that consistency, the urgency, and the strain when it comes to, some of those things where, again, he relies on the size, relies on the length, relies on a few of those things that he does naturally over the technique, over getting it done all the way from the beginning of the snap to the end of the snap. So again, we'll continue to look for those things. Again, hand use, I think this guy's got good hands. He's got the strength to lock on. Again, he needs to refine the placement. He needs to refine resetting those hands, the savvy. He can do some things more naturally. That's going to continue to come with reps, different things he does. But again, there's going to be plenty of things that he does to continue to develop those. Again, you just want to see a player that continues to get more natural in everything he does. On the offensive line in terms of his hands, his savvy. Again, stunts in games, shows good vision, no issues there, sees things, can recover, finds a way to get the job done. Again, for offensive linemen, sometimes it's not pretty. Sometimes you have to recover. Sometimes you have to do those things. But at the end of the day, Trevor Goosby can do all those things. So where does this guy end up going? I think this is a first-round player. Again, I think he may have gotten into the first round this year if he had come out. I certainly think that's going to be in play. Then this guy is certainly going to push for that number one spot. We'll talk about a couple different offensive tackles who will push for that number one spot. Again, I don't think this guy is a guaranteed top 10 guy. This guy, I'm not sure if he's going to have quite the ceiling to go top 5, but there is a lot to like. This guy has all the traits, all the things to be a first rounder, be that high level, high production, consistent left offensive tackle for offenses and do things really well. So again, some scouts are going to want to see that improvement in his hips, in finishing plays. Again, just being cleaner in what he's doing. Again, always a challenge for really talented college players. Again, don't just rely on the size. Don't rely on the athleticism. Do things right. It is about the micro aspects that scouts across the country for 32 teams are going to be watching. Do everything right, because it will show up at the NFL level. I fully expect Goosby to take in some of those steps this year. But again, what do you think? Who else is going to be fighting for that number one offensive tackle spot? What does Goosby need to show? What do you like? What do you dislike? Who else challenges it? Let me know at RightStepADV. That's where you can find me. Leave me those comments. Who else do you want to talk about? Is it Seaton? Is it somebody else? I'll take a look at these guys as we continue our 2027 draft scouting series here on Scouting the League.